this case, the car takes over. It's got lasers in the front, radar, cameras on the driver to make sure you don't fall asleep, and cameras on the road, keeping the car in the lane at a safe distance from the car in front of it. Audi says it's going to be within 5 years from now. This will be in production models on the road. My guess is probably more like 2 to 3 years. Once they work out both the technology and convince governments and states to allow this kind of technology on the road.
The major automaker that is trying to make a comeback but can't avoid the dreaded recall. The one thing Americans demand from their cars is perhaps just a tad closer to reality. And what is costing drivers $124 billion a year with likely no end in sight? Strap up the 5-point harness because we are buckling in. Welcome back to MidPoint, the car coach, the racer, the person who knows more about cars than those guys who drive around England in those midget autos and put it on television. What do they know? Pedal to the metal, Lauren Fix joins us. How you doing, Lauren?
I'm great, Ed. How are you?
It's another day in automotive paradise. Let's go ahead and get to it. Finally, we are told that Mercedes-Benz and Volvo are testing the autonomous vehicles on public roads. Finally, we have it. Now, wait a minute. Can we go to the flying cars next? No, wait. We'll stop here.
No. Well, there actually is a guy creating flying cars. I saw it at the New York Auto Show a couple of years ago. You know, there's all kinds of legislation that hasn't been addressed yet. I have been in the Volvo as a passenger on the autonomous car, and they have been testing it on the Swedish roadways for a while. This is something that they truly want. Now, as far as Mercedes, this is also something that is something they've been working on trying to get to happen. And I give Audi also credit. They're actually the first ones to get a license to test drive in the U.S. So although Google may think they're the first ones to market, I would say Audi, Volvo, Mercedes for sure have put tons of money into autonomous cars. They claim people want them. I don't want one. You might, but I'm not interested.
I have no desire for one because to me part of the joy of driving is just that. It is the joy of driving. And of course, you know, being able to perhaps use your vehicle as a bumper car against somebody who flips you off at the wrong place and time. But that's another story altogether.
You're not supposed to
exactly.
do that.
No, that's not. It's just fun. And I know that there's no way to tell this right now, but if we get to that point, we're talking about these high-profile automotive makers like Mercedes-Benz and Volvo. What would a car like this? What would this cost?
Well, the vehicle will cost more, obviously. But remember, you buy a car, and they said the car is $10,000. Oh, you wanted lane departure control. You wanted a backup camera. You want active cruise control. A lot of this technology has been out for a while, including active cruise control. They're called ADAS, or basically assisted driving, or automation of assisted driving systems. So one of the things that I tell people is some of this is very helpful. Cross traffic alert, you're backing up at a parking spot, you don't see someone. But you know, this technology is starting to be evolved. Chrysler's had it for a while, Jaguar's had it, Ford, GM, of course. Now you're talking about the companies that are really making the money is the people developing the technology. Companies like NVIDIA, who do a lot of the multimedia interface. You're looking at Delco, Autoliv. There's quite a few companies, including Bosch and others, Continental, where I've actually been to their factories, seen what they're doing, and they're developing some pretty impressive stuff. But even though each manufacturer will choose what they want, and what you will buy is totally up to you, of course. Keep in mind that there's a race to see who can get the first autonomous car in the marketplace. They want to be the first one to blaze the trail.
Well, let's just say whoever's out there. I mean, what are we talking about? Maybe $10,000 extra for something like this on a car?
We don't know right now. If you're looking at a base Audi, for example, and then you add on all the goodies. Of course, once you load it up, I'm currently test driving a BMW X4. The base model is like $45,000. You add on all the goodies, the active cruise control, across traffic alert data, it's a $60,000 car. So you're talking somewhere in that $10,000 plus range, and the car is not completely autonomous. Will there be a high take rate? No. Will people buy them? Of course they will, because they don't want to ride in a cab. They want their own vehicle to take them there and be the first one on the street to own it, just like they did with Tesla and every other new technology or car that's out there.
Of course. We certainly want it first. We got about 3 minutes. Let's roll over a couple of things here now. Forbes says that traffic congestion costs Americans $124 billion a year. That's not going to come down anytime. It seems traffic congestion is here to stay and everything that goes with it.
Right, and it's actually probably going to get worse because if you think about it, when you're looking at traffic congestion, you're talking about the cost of gasoline because you're sitting there in traffic is 0 miles to the gallon. Your time has value. And then, of course, if you're late for work and all these things add up to expense, if a truck is sitting in traffic and it's meant to deliver food to the grocery store, that means the cost of delivery is higher, and who's going to pay for that? You are. So currently it's about $124 billion. They're saying that by 2030, we're looking at $168 billion of just pure traffic congestion. And hey, these roadways are in horrible shape. I was recently in Detroit and I couldn't believe the potholes. These need to be fixed. The money doesn't need to go to the general fund. It needs to go to fix the roads and bridges.
Oh, the last time I was in Detroit, trust me, it's the same thing. Those are veteran potholes, young lady. They have been there for a long, long time.
I know.
They're talking. The Chicago Tribune, as a matter of fact, here. U.S. motorists driving more miles using less gas. How does that figure?
Well, remember, cars are getting better fuel economy, and they're saying that, with that, and that's one of the things the federal government wanted, is they wanted to have cars that got an average of 54.5 miles per gallon. If that occurs, remember, that's less gasoline taxes, that's less diesel taxes, because the cars that get better fuel economy, these are things to consider. So while the average vehicle in overall gets better fuel economy, that's going to impact your taxes, which means what they're doing in the state of Oregon, they're going to do potentially in the state of Virginia, start charging by the mile, and then they'll take that lovely tax dollars from both and put them into the general fund rather than putting them into the roads and highways, which definitely need to be repaired.
All right, about a minute or so left here. Here's our weekly recall check. Gee, we'd just like get this sponsored at this point. Not by yet, exactly. Chrysler now apparently has got the Dodge Durango and the Jeep Grand Cherokee SUVs, and 1.67 million vehicles by Toyota with faulty brakes.
Well, they're brake and fuel problems. Now, the brake is a brake system problem, and they weren't very specific, but this is a global recall, and there's also a fuel problem in addition. Now, remember, they've already been slapped when it comes to the airbags, and now you add in
Toyota
these
has,
problems.
Right?
Toyota, right.
Yeah.
You want to be right on top of this. As I have said them before, you bet your sweet Bippy, they're going to be very aggressive on making sure that they put out a recall rather than just letting it go and having a potential accident. There have been no accidents on the Toyota recalls at all so far.
And on the Chrysler side of things with the Dodge and the Grand Cherokee, we're talking about seatbelt pretensioners here, disable airbags. It's a possible short circuit, again, an electrical problem, correct?
Right. No accidents have occurred at this point, but they're being very proactive. And hey, you know what? Chrysler just went public. They want to make sure that stock keeps going up and up.
More on this and a whole lot more. Where do you get it? LaurenFix.com. I tell you to visit it every single day. She's got stuff there, and the cars are absolutely wonderful, except, of course, she doesn't have the Dodge Charger there. And, oh, yeah, by the way.
I'm driving that on Monday, so I'll let you know.
You're driving the new Charger.
The new Charger Hellcat on Monday.
Unless it's a 69, we're not talking. Okay.
Oh,
LaurenFix.com.
Okay.
Always a pleasure, Lauren. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Take care. Thanks, Ed.
Take care. Later on this hour, how the Chinese are taking over America one mouse click at a time, and there's not much we can do.